This is the plaintiff, Sierra Farrow. She says she rented an apartment in the defendant's garage, and the lady snooped on her when she had friends over and listened to her conversations. She got out of there lickety-split. Now the evil woman won't return her security deposit, so she's suing the eavesdropper here and now for the $1,400 she's owed. This is the defendant, Daphne Ralliford. She says the plaintiff was a horrible tenant who ran the air conditioner full blast with the windows wide open. She also changed the locks without permission. She left early and she's keeping the woman's security deposit for all she's now out. She's accused of terminating a tenant.
All parties, please use your right hands.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case on the docket. The plaintiff rented an apartment from the defendant and says the landlord was snooping on her, made her so uncomfortable she moved. Now she can't get her deposit back. But the defendant says the plaintiff was a horrible tenant who ran the AC at full blast. It's the case, I was just eavesdropping in.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome.
So you were living in a garage apartment, was it?
Yes.
All right, in Broward County,
Yes.
Florida? How long had you been living there?
Almost a year. I moved in December.
All right, when did the problem start?
In August.
And what was it that happened?
The air conditioner wasn't working when I came home from work.
Okay, so this is a wall, a window unit air conditioning?
Right. But it's in the wall. It's not actually in the window. It's
Okay.
like- yeah, it's in the wall.
And it wasn't working. How was it not working? Was it blowing air and it was hot, or it wasn't turning on?
It wasn't turning on at all.
Okay, did you contact her?
Yes.
And what did
I contacted her after the third day because
Why
I
didn't
figured
you contact her the first day?
because I figured something was going on. She was working on something because she does like the housework herself. So
Wait. Did you contact her the first day to say the AC's broken?
not the first day.
Why not?
Because I saw something open outside, like on the wall. So I figured she was working on the AC, which I did tell her that too. When I contacted her the third day, I said I thought she was working on something. So I didn't.
You're very patient. I wouldn't have been patient. It's Florida.
Yeah.
It's South
Yeah, I am.
Florida in August. I know what that is. I live
Yeah.
there. So, all right. So on the third day, according to you, because see, a tenant would call, like the first day a tenant calls is probably the day the AC is not working. I don't know whether you're trying to make it longer. There's something a little fishy there for me. But all right, you say you spend 2 days in Florida in August sleeping with no AC in a garage. So there's no air. And then you call her and say what?
I called her and I was saying, are you working on the AC? It's not working at all. And she basically tells me she doesn't know what to do. She's in New York. She doesn't have anyone to send. And so I tell her,
Is all this by text?
no, we're on the phone at this point. So I was telling her, I can't breathe and like something has to be done. And she just told me, well, I don't know what to do. That's all she told me.
All right. When she called you and told you there was something wrong with the AC, what did you tell her?
I told her I was in New York and I would not be back until Monday night.
Right, but what does that have to do with fixing a tenant's problem? That has zero to do with it.
Your Honor, it's a tiny unit. I do a lot of the work in my household for myself. I do not
Well, I know it's cheaper for you to do it yourself,
Yes.
but that's different from whether it's legal and correct and you're abiding by your duties as a landlord. If somebody tells me I don't have AC and it's August in Florida, you got to call somebody and see what, you got to pay and see somebody and figure it out. When you come home, do you take a look at it and see what the problem was?
Exactly, I did.
And what was wrong with it?
Nothing was wrong with it. All I did was press the reset button and it was up and running. Nothing was
Well, why
wrong
didn't
with
you
it,
just
Your
tell her
Honor.
that on the
But-
phone
but
4
I
days
did not know,
earlier?
Your Honor. I did not know what to do.
All right. So in any event, what happens later is really what the subject of this lawsuit
Exactly.
is, which is you take it upon yourself to deduct $150 from the rent. Right. Did you discuss that with her before you did that?
I tried to. I said, I'm going to need something off of next month's rent because this is uninhabitable. And she said, we'll see. So
All right. And then you just decided how much and paid her less rent without you two discussing it, right?
Right.
Because that's what offended her. And when you did that, you then tell her, get out, right?
Yes, something like that.
Right. Now, you are suing for $1,400 security deposit. I looked at your lease and it says there's a $700 security deposit.
No, that's not correct.
Okay, do you have a lease that says you gave $1,400?
No, I don't have the lease because when I moved.
Okay, you understand that other $7 was probably your first month's rent. That's usually how it is. I have your lease. It's $700. All right, in any event, is this a legal apartment?
It is a legal apartment.
Is it? Because it's a garage that you've converted into an
converted it,
apartment.
yes, ma'am.
Can I see your paperwork on it?
I don't have the paperwork on hand.
So if a landlord, I don't know, is kind of creepy and is like snooping on conversations and whatnot, making the tenant uncomfortable, can the tenant break the lease and get the deposit back?
They can break the lease, but if there's a clause saying something about the deposit, I mean, legally, they won't be able to get it.
But legally, I mean, at a point, is the tenant forced out by creepiness?
Yeah, it's very creepy, but legally, so he can do it. That's what I think. But well, it's a very tricky situation. So
I gotta ask you something. I'm sorry. I love your accent. Where are you from?
France.
That's I wouldn't have guessed that, but that's a really good accent. Am I allowed to say that? That's a good accent. Going inside the courtroom.
Are you zoned 2-family or 1-family in that
It's a
house?
one-family apartment. It's a
It's a what?
one-family house. It's
No,
a one.
are you, stop. Is your property zoned 1-family or 2? Do you also live there?
Yes,
Right, so is your property zoned 1-family or 2-family?
one family.
Well, then how are you able to rent that out at all, is my question, right? It's kind of on the sly that you're renting it, and yet you're trying to keep money for rent. Now, you actually had problems with her before the air conditioning, right?
Right.
What were your problems with her before that?
It was basically harassment. Like one day I was cooking and I hear her yelling out to me, "Oh, Sierra's here," and I'm like, "Yes." And she's like, "Open the door, let the smell of the food out." And I'm like, "Why would I open the door while I'm cooking so flies can come in?" That's one thing. And then like every so often she'll complain about the AC. "Why are you running the AC when it's a cool day outside?" And I'm saying to her, "You don't know how you don't know how I feel in here. You're not in here with me, so you can't tell me if I'm hot or not." But even after I had that discussion, she kept fussing about it.
And according to you, she would snoop on you?
Right. It's like when I was having a conversation, like when I have company, you hear the door open like quietly, and then you don't hear anything. I have very good hearing, so if she was moving around, I would hear her. Like you hear the door open like slowly and quietly, and then nothing else. Like usually when
So what do you think she was doing? Just listening to you?
Yeah.
Were you doing that?
No, of course not, Your Honor. I could never do that.
Usually
I
when
couldn't
she
hear
goes
her.
back there, when she does anything, she always makes noise. She slams the door when she walks out. She's like very noisy. So
All right.
yeah.
All right, here's the thing. When you own a house, you can have a roommate, that's fine. But when you convert a garage, which lots of people do to make some extra cash, you have to change the zoning in Florida to be a 2-family home, which you're never going to do with a garage. That's why nobody does it. So you are attempting to keep her security deposit essentially for rent. But here's what you cannot do. If you're gonna, on the sly convert a garage and collect rent and do it without the proper legal authority, you can't ask a legal authority to let you collect rent, you see? So you're gonna have to give her back the entire $700 because I don't even see how you have a legal right to rent that out. Yeah.
Can I also say that wasn't the only problem. There's like harassment with my visitors also.
Okay, is it enough for you to win? Because you're winning.
Yeah, I just
Okay.
wanted to say that.
Verdict for the plaintiff and the amount of the actual security deposit, which is $700. That's my judgment.
So the plaintiff will get her security deposit back. Ms. Ralliford, what are you thinking about what the judge, if you'll step over here, please, right here. There you go. What are you thinking about the judge just told you?
Well, I did not know that I could not convert my garage and rent it as a legal place. I did not know that.
Do you have somebody living in there now?
No.
All right. Well, thank you very much. You lost. Sorry,
It's
but
okay.
you learned. You
Yes,
lost,
I
but
learned
you
by
learned.
listening. Yes,
Okay.
sir.
And
Thank
that's
you
good.
very much. Okay, yes.
Okay, good enough.
Mr. Learn. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, Ms. Farrow. Well, good for you. You stood up for your rights. What are you thinking right now?
I feel very good because like that was what I went through. Nobody else should go through, and I hope no one else moves into there. So I just feel good that I got my money back because it was what's right. So
Good for you. All right, congratulations. Thank you very much.
Have a good one.
Okie dokes. Harvey?
Okay, Doug, look, the landlord needs a certificate of occupancy to rent a place. If he doesn't have it, tenant can move out, get the deposit back. The lease was never valid in the first place.